Yo, what up everybody? It's your boy Jadira coming at you with the Pummel plant leveling build for Druid. Let's get right into it. I don't know if you've seen already, but everybody in their ante is playing this build and everyone's showing the end game version of this build. So I want to kind of show you how you get there as opposed to showing you the end game of it. The primary aspect we're going to talk about first is the Poison Creeper aspect. What this does is when you use Poison Creeper, it creates a circle-like formation which includes Landslide, which does a butt ton of damage, which I'll explain later. It also increases the damage you do with Earth skills to poisoned enemies. The enemies get poisoned by Poison Creeper, hence the name. The two spicy aspects I'm going to talk about next aren't necessary, but they definitely increase the damage later in the game. The first spicy aspect we're going to talk about here is the Trample aspect. What it does is it includes Landslide into your Trample, which creates a wall of Landslide as you travel with your Trample, which I'll demonstrate later. As you can see, there's a key theme around the move Landslide. We'll also talk about that later. The second aspect here is crazy powerful to have. If you can get your hands on this, I highly suggest it, but it's super powerful. What this spicy aspect does, it effectively lets Landslide proc twice. So whether I'm using Landslide, it'll do it twice, or if I use Poison Creeper, the proc will happen twice, or if I use Trample, the proc will happen twice. You will see this in demonstration later. Those are the aspects, but let me show you how to get that primary one guaranteed. When you go over your seasonal journey, you click on your season's journey, and if you go to the first tab here, so this is the first chapter of the season journey that you complete. As you can see, once you complete it, these are very mundane, easy tasks to complete. You can check it out for yourself. This is where you can get the aspect, and it's very easy to achieve. Let's get right into the primary skills here, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refund all the talent points, and because this is a leveling guide, I'm going to show you in succession how you apply the points per level. So this is how it's going to go. We're going to go Storm Strike, then we're going to go Enhanced Storm Strike. It's going to move us down to the second node. Then we're going to get Landslide. Then we're going to get Enhanced Landslide, and then we'll go back up. It's up to you. I would recommend going to get the Vulnerable to make enemies vulnerable first, so get Fierce Storm Strike. Then go back and put this one into Primal Landslide. Next, we'll go into Earthen Bulwark for defensive capabilities. Enhanced Bulwark. Then Innate Earthen Bulwark. Then we're going to go back up and put one more into Landslide. We still have room for an additional one to Landslide. Then we can move to our next bracket. You're going to want to go Poison Creeper. Then you want to go Enhanced Poison Creeper. And then I personally like Brutal Poison Creeper. Again, we have additional points, so we put one more into Landslide and another one into Landslide. We cap it out. Then we put one into Trample, Enhanced Trample, then Natural Trample. So let's move over to the secondary skills now, because this is how it's going to work as you're leveling. I go Heart of the Wild, and then I start putting points into Abundance. Spirit Regeneration with Druid is hard to come by, so this is really good to get our spirit going. You should be able to put a full 3 in this before you have to move to the next bracket. Now this is where things get interesting. If you're having a little bit of survivability issues and you need more downtime on your enemies, I suggest going Petrify. But I personally like Cataclysm, and I also personally like Grizzly Rage. The only reason I suggest Cataclysm is it also adds a vulnerable effect to the ability. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to go Cataclysm. One in Cataclysm, Prime Cataclysm, and Supreme Cataclysm. I then put points into Predatory Instinct, as we will be in close range of most of our enemies with this build. So you can go ahead and put a full 3 into that. Next, I put a single point into Neurotoxin, and then I put a full 3 into Envenom. Once we apply those 3 into Envenom, your ultimate category will open up. You can go Earth and Might if you choose instead of Cataclysm, you go Petrify, but if you are going Cataclysm like myself, I suggest you go Nature's Fury. I'm going to go with Nature's Fury for this one, because Nature's Fury allows me to cast an Earth spell, which gives me the chance to proc a Storm spell. So if I cast a Storm spell, that means I have the chance to cast an Earth spell. You can see the synergistic properties there and how they work together. After we've put our final point in Nature's Fury, we have all these secondary points available. So I like to start putting the damage into the Earth spells, so I move up to this category here. I put 3 in Crushing Earth for increased damage with Earth skills to CC'd enemies. Another 3 into Stone Guard for increased damage with Earth skills. And another 3 into Safeguard for survivability. The reason why I put 3 into Envenom is because Poison Creeper damages the enemies with poison damage. So when they're poisoned, my critical strike damage is increased by 30%. Forgot to mention that, my bad. So once we have all our Earth skills checked out and cleared, we're going to move over here to the Nature skills. As you can see, everything has Nature magic damage. Everything except Poison Creeper. So I put a full 3 into Defiance for nature damage, a full 3 into Natural Disaster for nature and earth damage, and another 3 into Resonance for earth damage, tripled if they're affected by storm damage. The last 2 skill points is personal preference, in my opinion. You can go Defensive Posture for a little bit more survivability, or you can go for Circle of Life for a little bit more survivability. I personally go Circle of Life. Well, that's primary and secondary skills all wrapped up into one cool segment. I'm going to move on to the Spirit Boons next. So Spirit Boons, guys, what it is essentially once you hit level 15, it puts you on a quest line. You do this stronghold, and then you have to invest into these spirits with your spirit juice, and you pretty much level it up. This material dropped like crazy. Like as soon as I hit 15, it started dropping from every single mob. So I wouldn't worry about jumping into getting your Spirit Boon right away. Like maybe you want a quest and whatever in the meantime, but you can always allocate that spirit juice into your Spirit Boon later. The Spirit Boons I went with were Weariness for reduced damage to elites. I also went with Scythe Talents to gain 5% increased critical strike chance. And then I also did Avian Wrath to gain 30% critical strike damage. Then I went Pack Leader. So this gives me abilities so that Poison Creeper, when it procs with my other abilities, I have the chance to reset its cooldown and spam it essentially. Really cool. And then I went Calm Before the Storm just to have more uptime on Cataclysm. As a Druid, you can bond to a specific animal, which allows you to take 2 boons of the same category, and I chose to bond to the Eagle, which allowed me to take Scythe Talons and Avian Wrath. That's it for Spirit Boon, guys. Let's talk about the gems next. Gems is pretty simple, honestly. You can go reds for health or yellows for while you're crowd controlled. Again, it gives you more defensive capabilities while you're crowd controlled, and then reds increase your health. Honestly, as you can see, I didn't really care too much about what I went, but once I believe I get to the late game, I'm going to want to invest in blues, because what it does for my armor is it allows me 1.5 damage reduction while fortified, and druids heavily play around being fortified. So early game, I'd say yellows or reds, whatever you can get your hand on. Honestly, I didn't find it difficult without them, but once you get into late game, for other builds I'll make later in this game, I'll show you guys. I will be running the sapphires. As for weapons, always keep it vulnerable damage with the greens. This increases damage while everything's vulnerable. Cataclysm makes things vulnerable. So does your Storm Strike, so really helpful. Oh, and I forgot to mention, go 2-handed weapon over a 1-handed weapon in totem. You just get way more bang for your buck with the 2-handed weapon. On to the Malignant Hearts now, guys. This is completely subjective. If you have the chance to get your hands on some Wrathful Hearts, I suggest you do it. But if you don't, the basic devious one that you're going to want to run is this one. This basically, every time you ultimate, it pulls all the enemies towards you. It's really easy mode for like clearing dungeons and whatnot. Earlier on in the game, for your Brutal Malignant Heart, you're probably going to want this one because you run Bulwark. You also have 11% berry generation, and every time your berries up, you're healing. So this is one I would get in the early game. In the late game, you're going to want to use this one. This is standard, I think, on every class across the board. This is basically reduced damage, period. It's just a damage reduction gem. I would highly recommend getting it. Also, you can see it drops quite frequently, as I have a few of them here. So that's the one you're going to want to put in your Brutal Heart slot. As for the Vicious Heart, I would recommend this one. It increases your damage, your critical strike damage by up to 65%, but it reduces your basic damage by 20%. So this is one you're going to get late game, but I have a feeling this is a very strong, underrated gem that no one's really talking about. It's been working for me. However, in the early game, that's not going to be the one you're going to want to run. You're going to want to run the one that spreads electricity through your enemy. So basically, it's like a chain lightning effect, and it does more damage. And this is really good to use when you're lower level. So this is the Vicious Heart for early game. And then in the late game, you're going to want to take this one, the one that gives you the increased critical strike damage. What I'm going to talk about next is easy spots to farm Malignant Hearts. If you want to farm Malignant Hearts early on in the game, this is the easiest one to go to. It's the easiest one to exit, rinse, repeat, reset dungeon. Because when you start the game and you start doing the seasonal quest, Corman's going to show up around here. So you can imagine that you're just going to be running between him and this all day. So this is the one I recommend if you're going to be doing some farming for Malignant Hearts. Next, I'm going to talk about the easiest way to level in the game. Guys, straight up, it's just dungeoning. Not only the dungeoning and the best return on investment for time invested and experience gain, but also by doing the dungeons, it helps you gain renown. So renown will give you the extra skill points and the paragon needed. So once you're doing a dungeon, you can do everything in the area and gain that renown that way. But hands down, the fastest way to level, in my personal opinion, is doing the dungeoning. Every dungeon rewards 5 Grim Favor. So for every 2 that you do, and there's usually 4 on the map, you can hand in at the Tree of Whispers. for not only loot, but experience. So, the fun part, let's do a little demonstration. So I'm in World Tier 3, and let me preface this by saying I have no Sacred Armor on. This is 0 Sacred Armor, so I believe this would be a good example of how good the build is. Alright, here's a simple demonstration of the rotation. Poison Creeper, right? You get everyone stuck, then you trample. Crazy. That's it. Just watch your Poison Creeper, as your Poison Creeper will come off a cooldown. You can freely reset the cooldown with your Spirit Boon right here. So always keep your eye on that. It's usually off of cooldown. Alright, wave clear time. Build feels so good. It feels so good. Let's get our card. Oh my goodness. Loving the wave clear. That's it. This is World Tier 3 with no Sacred Armor, guys. It looks like we're going to get into some single target damage here, guys. Hold tight. Again.
I'm not ready yet.
So there we go. We're just going to rotate through everything that comes off the cooldown. Storm Strike and Landslide while our big cooldowns are off cooldown. Again, no Sacred Armor. World Tier 3. Pushing like a G. Pretty strong. Single target damage. There you go. 5 Grim Favors. Alright, we just covered rotation demonstration, wave clear demonstration, and single target damage in World Tier 3 with no Sacred Armor. Let's get into the build summary next. For abilities, guys, we're going to go Storm Strike, then we're going to go Landslide, then we're going to go Earthen Bulwark, then we're going to go Poison Creeper, then we're going to go Trample, and then we're going to go Cataclysm. For our key passive, we're going to go Nature's Fury. Spirit Boons, as instructed before, we're going Weariness, then we're going to go Scythe Talents, then we're going to go Avian Wrath, then we're going to go Pack Leader, then we're going to go Calm Before the Storm. Our fundamental aspect is the Poison Creeper aspect. That's it, my Pummel Plant Druid build, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this build helps you. This is a leveling guide. Once I get deeper into the game, I will be able to give you way different Druid builds, and I'll let you know how this build goes. But again, if you guys like my videos, turn on the notifications so every time I post, you guys will know right away. I really appreciate making videos like this for you guys, and it really drives me to do better every time. So let me know in the comments how you feel. Well, that's it for me. I'm your boy Jadiro signing out for now. Peace.